My father came here because of the coal mines and for a greater opportunity for his five children. Four more kids came along after that. There's nine of us in the family. So as a coal miner, he didn't last very long in the coal mines because he got his hand was crushed between the coal trucks, and then his leg was also injured. So his time in the coal mines didn't last very long, and he had to find other work. 612 Kressler Court, I'll always remember that address. And basically, that's where we grew up. It was a very, well, at the time I didn't know it was a poor section, but it was. And everyone in our block, we had none of the niceties of life, but we didn't know that there was a difference because everybody was in the same bucket. So we grew up and in a mixed, so-called mixed neighborhood then, as it could be in Kressler Court. And we had a good time, for having nothing, we had a good time. But then, as I said that word, having nothing, my mom was always into books, and she would always take us down to the Scranton Public Library. I do credit George Washington School and those teachers that were there were giving us a great education as we moved on into Tech High School, because from there from George Washington only went to sixth grade, and then we went to Tech from 7th to 12th grade. And the same thing there, they were just into us getting our education and preparing us, not for college, but for a job. Unfortunately, you did start to see some prejudices there. They didn't prepare us as well to go to college as they did the other kids. Those are some of the things I don't like to dwell on, because I always think that you can rise above that, and which I think, my mom always taught us to do that, to rise above anything that may be a challenge, that you may think it's a challenge at the time, and just to rise above it. So through my grades at 7th and through 12th grade at Tech High School, there was only 4 of us black kids that graduated at that time, because that's what it was. And it was only like 750 black people in Scranton at the time when I was growing up. So of course our high school was going to be different. Some of the other good things about being at Tech High School, we had dances, sock hops, and we enjoyed those on Friday nights, and there was no difference. We all got together, the white, black, and everybody. We just had a good time. When you talk about me growing up, and we had the Progressive Center was our outlet. That's where we went. That's where I went to Brownies, and that's where I went to Girl Scouts. And again, my mom didn't have money to get us scout outfits and things, but somehow there was always a fund there to supply the kids that needed the outfits. I think I've always had a sense of belonging because of the Progressive Center. And I think that's why I'm so pulling for the Black Scranton Project and what little bit I can do with that, because it's so necessary. You feel a part. I feel a part because of my Girl Scouts, because of the Brownies, because of the dances, and seeing the Elks men come in and do their thing, whatever they did at night. So it always felt like I belonged there. When I pass it now, I get like a sense of, oh, what happened? But I also know that what was yesterday cannot be today. What worked yesterday doesn't necessarily work today. It was a necessary thing as I look back, because the house that we were in was one of the houses that was labeled for being demolished. And I always remember the cameraman coming from Channel 22 at the time, and he came and took pictures of how we were living. And as I think back, I said, how could my mom have let somebody come in and take pictures of those? Probably if we went back in the archives of Channel 22, you would see the pictures of how the water was dripping, all over the place, and how unsanitary and unsafe it was for us to live there. So I'm sure that's why redevelopment had to come, because our house that we lived in was just one of many houses like that in the neighborhood. And once they started to tear down the houses and everything, I was there. My mom had to move out. They had to find some place to go. They didn't find it for you. You had to find your own place to go. I saw a job was advertised at A&P, which was down in Wyoming and Vine Street, I guess. And I went in there to apply for the job and everything, and I was a laughing spectacle because at that time they didn't have anybody black working there. So all I kept seeing is everybody was walking by. It was a long hallway. I was sitting here in these chairs, and there was partitions, and everybody was looking over the petition, pointing and laughing. And I'm thinking, what's going on? And then all of a sudden it hit me what was going on. And then they did take me, and they told me that the job was filled. And I knew I was more than prepared for that job, but I never did get it. And so that was a learning experience for me. From there, I did go to Samters, and I worked in Samters. And I have to always credit Mr. White. And Mr. White was like the vice president or something of Samters. And he was just so determined to make sure that I learned every piece of information that was there to be learned in the office. But then from Samters, I did go to Bella, Pennsylvania, at the directory department, where we did the listings for the Yellow Pages. And it was a big deal. It was such a big deal that they announced it from my church pulpit. I needed to get back to my roots, I think. I needed to feel that I was doing something. Once your kids leave and you're now a widow, you don't have a home, so what are you going to do now with the rest of your life? Grace Bible Church is where I go now, and I do have a sense of belonging there and community, but I needed more. So then that's when I started to go out into the community and see what's what. And the first place I went was the city council. And I would sit and listen to the residents talk about all the things that are wrong with Scranton. And that didn't sit well with me, because if there's so much wrong, then what are you doing to make it right? So, like I said, I would sit and listen to city council, and I became an advocate, I guess, for street signs, because I kept getting lost. I think we all want diversity. And I think we all want to be represented at the table. We don't want to see, someone that doesn't look like me up there making decisions for me when they may not have the experiences of what I've gone through. My perspective on Scranton right now, sometimes I get a little bit disappointed. I get disappointed when I don't see some of the issues taken care of that will benefit not only just Black Scranton, but those that are less than, those like the prison population, and I get a little bit disappointed when I go to the prison board meetings downtown, and I just get disappointed when I see them sitting up there like they could care less. They seem so distracted and disconnected from the problems that are going on at our prisons. So, there's things that disappoint me as far as who benefits from what. When I see all the housing going up downtown Scranton and all the apartments that are being built downtown Scranton, and I hear that those rents are quite dear. So which means that to me, you're automatically crossing off certain people and eliminating certain people. So when things disappoint me about Scranton, I try to think, what can I do? What can I do? So I'm just hoping that going forward, that 250 years celebration, that people of color will be able to feel a part, and that they will feel that they have just as much right as someone not of color, that they have a right to be there. They have a right to achieve. They have a right to expect to be able to live where they want to live. They should be able to get the education that they want, to achieve the job that they want.